Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for our webinar today around scaling your service-based business with software. My name is Elyse. I am the growth manager here at Cloudburst SBC. I'm joined by Zach Steven, who is our CEO and co-founder of Cloudburst as well. We will get into who we are in a little bit more detail. First, I want to go over the agenda for today's webinar, and thank you everyone for joining us. We really appreciate your time today. And please, there is a Q&A section, so if a question comes up as we go, please type in that question and we will get to it at the end. We've set aside some time at the end to go through those questions. So again, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. For the agenda today, we will start with an intro about ourselves, give a little bit of context and information around how we approach this issue, and I think that will help shed some light on some of the advice we're sharing today around starting your own software for your service-based business. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the signs that your current technology maybe isn't working for you anymore. Usually people start with a certain way of doing things with their business, and then as they grow, they learn that the systems they've set up are not really scalable and are not working as well as they could. So we'll share what some of those signs are. We're going to talk about some of the specific benefits of building and owning your own software, why that can be a really smart strategy moving forward, especially for building revenue. And we're going to talk a little bit about ladders of wealth creation as well. And we're also going to talk about some common considerations and watch outs to be aware of as you decide to pursue this journey towards owning and building your own custom software. And then again, we're going to do a Q&A at the end. So that's the plan. If you haven't heard of us before, we are Cloudburst SBC. We are a custom software development company in the Twin Cities. We are small but mighty. We bring a ton of entrepreneurial experience to all different types of founders and software and company owners who span a variety of different industries, everything from healthcare to different service-based industries. And those are the types of clients that we really enjoy working with. We're passionate about helping non-technical owners specifically because that's really our background. Both Zach and I come from the entrepreneurial world, and I've found that while it's never been easier to build technology, it's also never been easier to build it wrong or overbuild it or build something that nobody even uses or wants. We've been there ourselves and we've seen a lot of the pitfalls. So we are excited to share how building custom software can really help you in building your business and some of the things to watch out for as you begin that path, continue down that path, consider that path. So excited to share some of our learnings. My name is Elyse. I'm a growth manager here at Cloudburst. That means that I'm really in charge of sales and marketing for Cloudburst, and I also bring some of that expertise to our clients as well and work on developing different brands and content and messaging for a variety of different clients. Some are startups, some are more mature businesses who are maybe looking at new positioning or rebranding, or looking at how they're going to build their own custom software and brand that separate from what they're building now or in conjunction with what they're building now. It really depends. So it's an exciting role and one that I really enjoy pursuing. Now I'm going to introduce Zach. Zach is our founder and CEO here at Cloudburst. Zach, do you want to share a little bit about yourself?
Awesome. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Thanks for taking some time with us today. We're excited to put together this content to just speak more specifically to folks who are already entrepreneurs. You're running a business in services and talking about, as Elyse said, our experience in the benefits of software development, software ownership for service-based business owners. So excited to talk with you about the ladders of wealth creation and kind of my own experience as an entrepreneur, starting out from selling candy from a duffel bag in high school. There was no app for that. That was just me and a bag. But I've learned a lot about business along the way, and I've been in software now for about the last 10 years and really excited about the opportunities for scale and impact and efficiency that technology and software ownership provides. And So we'll just, looking forward to sharing that story with you today. So it kind of dovetails right into this framework. This is a visual representation of something created by Nathan Barry, who's the founder of software called ConvertKit. And he's framed this as the ladders of wealth creation. And really what this illustration does so well is it illustrates kind of on the left-hand side, people's first experiences, generally speaking, with working and earning money. So on the far left-hand side, at the lower rung of the ladder, probably your first way of earning money, having a job, is having an hourly job, working for a business, the classic trade your time for money. Then from there, maybe you go up the ladder to a salary, working for a company where you're getting a certain compensation, more for results than specifically for the time you're doing. And for a lot of people, that's maybe where their entrepreneurial working journey stops, is kind of being an employee of someone else, trading their time for money. The next over ladder, next to the right there, jumps over, and this is kind of your first entrepreneurial zone, maybe your side hustle, maybe your first start of an agency or a freelance career where you're doing hourly work for clients. You have developed a skill, probably working for someone else, getting paid to do it, and now you're doing it either full-time or part-time directly for clients of your own. Maybe you're cleaning homes, maybe you're doing gardening, maybe you're writing software. Beyond that, next level from just charging directly for your time is figuring out a project rate. So things that you can start to do to kind of disconnect exactly how much time you spend from how much money you earn, and figure out really, as the story goes, the person doesn't need a drill, they just want a hole, and the drill is the tool to get it. How do you figure out the value of what it is that you're delivering to your customer, and then you can get creative about how you solve that problem for them, maybe charge by the project. Next tier on that is managing a team to do services work. That's maybe the classic agency model of you as an entrepreneur are working with a team of folks to actually deliver work, hourly or project work, to other people, so that you're able to kind of expand your reach. The next ladder over, so each of the kind of the next ladders jumps a different level of entrepreneurial skills and business approach. As you move to the right here, the next ladder is at the bottom, fixed scope for a fixed price. So again, that's a very defined project of a standardized thing that you might deliver. Selling consulting packages, so figuring out how to bundle together services and make it easier to sell. Recurring services provided by employees, the third rung there. And then at the top of that, next level is recurring productized services. So really, how can you kind of move from hourly into packages into productized services? And I'm guessing most folks on this webinar may well be just kind of on that ladder of, you've already established a business, you're selling services or packages, you maybe even have productized some of those services using your own internal tools and software, which we'll dive into a little bit down the road. And why you're interested in this talk that we're giving today is jumping to this next ladder to the far right, which is where the greater risk, the greater upside is starting to get into digital products or knowledge products. So you certainly can start outright selling digital products. Maybe you've written an ebook, or you've put together a course, some way of sharing your expertise at scale. That can be a great place to go. Products that you might sell in an existing ecosystem, something like a Shopify plugin or WordPress, or some kind of existing platform where you've built something that there's already a market for. Physical products and e-commerce are a business unto themselves. And kind of where we're going to focus a bit more is this third from the top rung on subscription software. So launching software along with your services business can be a great next step in terms of, you've got services, what value that your team has could be delivered through software as opposed to just individually by people. Above that, in terms of scale and income potential, is SaaS, software as a service, which is the most common software that people use. Is really, you buy a software and it just does the work. There aren't directly people involved in delivering the service. And on top of that, marketplaces and social networks. And so one of the things that we see often is people want to jump straight from doing hourly work for clients into launching a marketplace. So they're jumping from the bottom rung of the second ladder all the way to the top rung of the fourth ladder. And what we're really encouraging is to look from where you are on this ladder of your own development as an entrepreneur and how to kind of take an incremental next step. How do you stair step your way in towards software ownership and some of these higher impact, higher revenue, higher value ladders where you can really make an impact for your business. So really helpful framework. Again, credits to Nathan Barry, Wealth Creation. We've got the link in the slides here, but really kind of helps people think about how can I get to the next step, not just all the way to the top of all of the things that I've seen, but take it a step at a time. And that's what we're going to talk about, that incremental approach. So to say a little bit more about owning software, really as the next level, as these ladders and rungs indicate on that chart, is how do you take the hard work that you've done as an entrepreneur to develop expertise, to learn the things that you need to learn about entrepreneurship and serving clients and building a team and figuring out the money, and dovetail that with software and technology to help yourself move up the ladders of wealth creation by getting leverage through technology. So some of the benefits of owning software here we've got called out is that you can operate more efficiently and earn more revenue for the work that you do because of that efficiency. You have the ability to create things that are made just for you and reduce your operational costs. A huge reason that people get into entrepreneurship is really just to be able to create the kind of company that they want and do things the way that they want them to be done. So it can get frustrating just having to follow someone else's software and templates. And thirdly, making the decisions that directly impact your employees and your customers, their experience and your business. And as we've kind of see these trends, as Elyse mentioned earlier on, with it's getting less expensive to develop custom software. It makes it easy to build a lot of things that people don't need. But on the flip side, we really believe that owning actual software application is going to be like the new website. Websites have been around for a long time. Now it's kind of a standard. Every business needs to have one. And a marketing website is great. It helps you get found. It helps you communicate to the world. But is it really delivering value beyond that initial discovery to your business or your clients? How might we take that to the next level of creating software that delivers value beyond presenting content? And so that's what we'll be talking about.
Thanks, Zach. I think the first thing that we really want to dive deep into are some signs that your technology for your service-based business is holding you back. And there are quite a few. You've probably run into some of these frustrations as a business owner. They're very, very common and very frustrating often. One of the most clear signs is that people are telling you that your technology is holding them back. So whether that's your employees who are frustrated with some of the processes or lack of processes, and hearing from your customers as well. Maybe they are frustrated with the way things are currently operating. They have ideas for how things could be automated. That's all really important feedback. We are huge proponents of listening to your customers and hearing what they want and what is useful to them. That is incredibly helpful. It's basically them giving you the answers like a cheat sheet before the test. So listen to your customers. They know what's up. If many of your processes are multi-step or manual, that might be another sign. You probably know that there are a bunch of ways to automate certain processes. And yeah, there are a bunch of ways, and there are ways that things can get set up automatically. And you have a lot more control over that when you do decide to pursue your own software. If you're worried about security, that's a huge, huge concern, especially if you're working in an industry where privacy is especially important. It's always important when you own your own business to secure the information and data of your customers. But if that's something that's keeping you up at night, that might be a sign too that you're maybe growing and needing a little bit more tech support. If your competitors are offering something that's a little bit more tech savvy, that's also a sign that you might need to up your game a little bit. Using a variety of different SaaS services and integrations, maybe you feel like you're using redundant ones. That can be frustrating. $17.99 a month here, $34.99 a month there. $259 a year. I mean, all of these little things, add up. And if you look at everything holistically, there are probably ways that you could be more efficient, especially in the long term, looking at all those different services and integrations. This is a common problem we see with syncing mistakes or missing data between multiple systems. Maybe one dashboard is telling you one thing, a different account is telling you something else. Google Analytics. I mean, there are so many different ways to get information. Sometimes it can be overwhelming. It can be great to have one primary source of information. And that's one of the benefits also of owning your own software, and having different systems talk to each other can be way more efficient and more accurate too, which helps with decision making. I think this is probably the main sign. And we see it all the time with business owners who are used to kind of being the central hub. They're the expert, not just with the subject matter, but with how the business operates. So if you're the only one who knows all these different software components, the different integrations, the different services, the passwords to everything, and if you are the only one in your business who knows how those work or don't, and if you get hit by a bus tomorrow, like no one else knows how things work, that's a huge problem. That means that you are definitely not operating at the full potential that you could be. So again, these are just a few signs, or other signs like long page load. I mean, there are a lot of other smaller signs, but these are sort of the bigger themes that we've noticed, that there's an opportunity for you to build your own technology and feel really good about it.
One of the things we wanted to talk about with this slide here is just kind of thinking about, when you think of software, I think our experience has been a lot of people think that that's not for me. I'm just going to work with what I can get out of the box or off the shelf or through existing online tools that I can use. And we definitely encourage that. You should really approach with this almost indie founder mindset that we talk about, where do what you can with what you have until somehow that process just won't keep working. Software isn't certainly a silver bullet solution. The best way to build it is once you've figured out all of the ways that you can do it in a more automated, off-the-shelf fashion, and those are still falling short. Chances are there's a lot of progress you can make without taking the custom path, and that might be through things like custom spreadsheets. It's amazing. We've seen the multi-tab spreadsheets that people have developed with formulas and complex things that help distill their process and their subject matter expertise into something of value for their clients. Maybe that's some kind of a custom calculator that helps somebody figure out how much they could earn or save, or how much it might cost to package their product, for example. There are custom forms and your own custom client onboarding process, and what it's like for people to reach out to you and interact with you as a service provider. How do they get in touch with you? Might be an opportunity to make that a better experience for them. As Elyse mentioned, certainly dashboards and analytics, it's important that the data is right. Maybe there's a more composite view that you'd like to have. And a lot of the platforms these days are fairly interoperable and accessible. And so you can customize it to pull together information you need from multiple places. This last one, audits, is a common place that a consultancy at least will start, is say, let's take a look at this for you. Let's run some scans on Google or some other place to understand how your website is performing, or let me take a look at your core processes or your expenses in this bucket, or what you're doing for marketing, and how could you use software to capture some information from your client and present it back to them, and perhaps turn that into a service that they might pay for ongoing. So we would just encourage you, as you're thinking about software, you don't have to think about this is like the whole scale app for my business. Maybe there's an entry point, the kind of the tip of the spear, where you can say, this is a thing that I'm currently using. I've got these spreadsheets, but I can't share them, or when I do share them, I can't send out updates, or it's no easy way for me to roll up the data across all of my clients because they're all in a different spreadsheet. Or I'm concerned that when I give this spreadsheet out to my clients, they're going to reverse engineer the formulas and they won't need me anymore. So just to try to keep an open mind about what could be made with software. So this speaks a little bit more kind of to the benefits of building your own software. Just to recap again, some of this we've said already, but certainly as an entrepreneur, having optionality and controlling your own future and having things kind of like the way that you want them is really satisfying. So owning your software, one of the most exciting parts for us in working with clients is when they see a vision and then they can see it in the world and they experience it for themselves. And they see a piece and they're like, I don't want it like this. I want it like that. I think of it like this. I don't need this. That's a huge part of building things custom is you can just build what you actually need. You don't need all of the other things that every other client might possibly want, which is what you're oftentimes stuck with when you go with the large scale software providers. Another benefit that folks might not realize is that you can differentiate yourself in the sales process, because when you come to a potential client with a software, it doesn't have to be super robust. Again, maybe it's the calendar or the calculator, maybe it's some level of reporting. It's something that basically showcases the professionalism of your firm, and you can be differentiated, and they might just be interested in, why should we listen to you? Oh, because we have this specific process that we go through that delivers this value for our customers. Again, not at the whim of updates for other people's product roadmaps. Certainly, if you're building your business on top of someone else's platform and it's very central to what you do in terms of your customer relationships, or like one example for us, a patient experience, you're subject to the feature roadmap of that particular company and their pricing and their viability. And at a certain point, it's nice to take those risks off the table and be more in control of your own destiny. Securing your data, as Elyse mentioned, and your formulas. Again, if what you're doing is sharing around Word documents, Google Sheets, Excel spreadsheets, things like that, once you email someone a spreadsheet, they've got all of your secret sauce right in their inbox. Whereas if you have software, it doesn't need to be complicated. It's great at doing math, and you can create a space where clients can log in and have access to the data, but you control changes and updates and if they pay for it and who has access to it. And you don't have to give away exactly the math behind everything that you're doing. You can certainly reduce costs. So there might just be benefit directly to your business in order to leveraging automations, whether that's the classics of classic software development or some of the newer things with AI and ChatGPT, and ways to kind of tap into how can I do more quickly, give myself more information for making decisions in my business without needing to add people. You can also earn additional subscription revenue from your clients. So one of the most exciting opportunities for investment in software is, how is it going to actually create incremental revenue for my business? We're working with a client right now in the healthcare space who is wanting to develop more of a self-serve product. They've currently got a fairly intensive hands-on process, which is great for a certain type of client, but they want to reach the very earliest stage of the market with more of a self-serve approach. So that could be a great way to expand your business potentially, is to take a look at what are the services that your clients need that you can't really afford to deliver for them profitably at an hourly basis given their scale, but there might be other mechanics through software, even if that's as much as content creation and distribution or digital products or classes. It doesn't have to be an app. Just to get started with something of value you can deliver to them that helps them become a qualified customer for your next level up offering. And a lot of folks are interested in saying, hey, if it works for me, there's a lot of other companies like me. Why not have a software for our industry built by someone who knows the industry like I do? And we've done that across industries, from moving to lawn care to healthcare. And it's really an opportunity to transition yourself into software entrepreneurship, not just for the benefit of your company, but also outright selling that software. It's a great way to grow your business. And I think, kind of to that last point there, of software is a forcing factor when we get in conversations with clients where it's if this, then that, but if that, then this, and then if this, then that. If you have to try to explain to the software developer, to the computer, to the code, how to reflect very complex decision trees, that's a good indication that your process could be probably simplified. So if you can put it into software, it becomes scalable in a way that it's not just dependent on your brain power or your time to figure things out. And it also builds value in the enterprise. At some point, if you want to have someone else run this business for you, if you want to outright sell the business, they have confidence knowing, one, this business runs on this software, and so we can understand it as a system. Or even better yet, this business has customers that are paying for the value that the software provides, and that really increases the multiple of a business, because if the business is dependent on you, it's hard for it to have value when you're not there, and software can really help with that.
Something we wanted to spend a little bit more time talking about are some common considerations and watchouts to think about if you're wondering, this sounds great, but this also sounds complicated or expensive, or I don't know if I want to commit to this, or those are some of the things we're going to be discussing here, because those are all very valid. Zach mentioned this earlier when we were talking about the different types of software that you might already be using, either with spreadsheets or calculators. And we really recommend starting out using some of those out-of-the-box solutions. See for yourself what you like, what you don't like. Is there a certain way data is communicated to you that doesn't make sense? Sketch it out. Look at it in this way where it's all a test. You're just trying to learn. Start looking at what already exists. See what you like, see what you don't like before you invest a bunch of money in something new. So ask yourself what works, what doesn't, what do you wish something could do. Next, you want to create a budget and a timeline. Obviously, things shift a lot, so maybe your budget needs to move around a little bit, maybe your timeline needs to move around, but having some type of range or idea of what you want to build is incredibly helpful. So think about what you might want to invest in the beginning. Think about when you might want a product to be launched. We really encourage this MVP mindset, this minimum viable product. What is the least you have to do to be able to prove that something is working and worthwhile and that people are liking, whether that person is you, your employees, your customers, and see how you can develop features in phases. It's great to have a vision of what your whole finished product would be, but also know, you have to start from somewhere. And what are the first things that need to get done? We're also going to be very aware of the fact that it's helpful to have, one clear, empowered owner for the project. Maybe there are a couple of decision makers, but making sure there's making sure there's one primary decision maker, because oftentimes we all see the world differently. We all think of technology differently. We use it differently. And making sure that there's someone who can dedicate time and expertise to this project is huge. This isn't a side project. It's not one little thing that you need to worry about right now. It can be a commitment. And so you need someone who's going to be in the weeds with you. We also encourage people to move fast and ship something within 6 months. That sounds really fast, and some products and software take years to develop. We think that is way too long. You want to get something out in market quickly. You want to learn as you go. You want to be embarrassed by your first product. That's something we hear all the time. And it's true. You want to launch before you're ready. You don't want it to be perfect. It's going to be a little clunky, and that's okay. Done is better than perfect. I know it's hard. It's hard for perfectionists. It's hard for people who own their own companies and people with control issues. I get it. But done is better than perfect.
And maybe just to chime in on that thread here too, I think we have seen this time and time again in working with clients, and guilty of it myself for sure, in terms of you can see the future of what it could be. And so you don't want to ship it until it is that. But to be in the mindset of your customer, where they're comparing what you've come up with to what their current alternative is, which you may have something that's just already way better than the competition. So it's always a balancing act of being able to see the future, but being confident in selling what you have in the present, and just knowing that is better than what's out there. And yes, I'm going to develop the thing in the future, but having success and getting some traction with a shipped product is how you're going to learn and how you're going to kind of earn that opportunity to build the next product. And frankly, by getting it in the hands of other users and people who would benefit from what you've built, helps you build a better product that you're not going to be the only user of, like if that's your goal. And so just to reiterate what Elyse said, let's just try to get something shipped. Let's try to scope it to the extent that it delivers value soon. It helps you feel momentum. It helps you get reaction. And that's what you need is to be working with reality.
I think it's also important to remember that technology is an accelerator. It's not the magical Band-Aid that's going to fix any business problems. So I think it's important to have a reality check with yourself. Like, what are the real issues that your company is facing, and how can technology help alleviate some of the pain points without just being a magical wand that will fix everything?
Yeah, it doesn't make things simpler. It can make a bunch of mistakes very fast. So we want to understand that we're using that technology exactly to amplify a system that's working or to do things that can't otherwise be done.
It's also important to prioritize what's most important to you. I think a lot about back when we were planning our wedding. My husband and I have been married for 10 years, but when we were planning the wedding, it was like, okay, what's the most important thing that we want to focus on? Okay, for me, it was I wanted a great photographer. For my husband, it was food. And so we realized, you know what, we're gonna sacrifice some of the control with the DJ and the menu and the dress and this other thing, because we want to focus on those most important parts. And I think that's really important too. It's really easy to want to boil the ocean, but where can you start? What can you own? What is the most important thing to start with? So yeah, looking at, regardless of what it is, maybe it's your budget. Maybe you have a really tight budget. Maybe you need to get something launched before some big conference or some big opportunity. Maybe it's a specific type of technology. Whatever it is, focus on that and know that that's really your priority. That's what's most important to you.
Maybe a side note from that too is just embrace constraints. It's kind of like throwing a party. It gives you a good reason to clean your house. If you can set deadlines or have a conversation or set up a demo or something, just as a good forcing function to just not be doing everything, just prioritize ruthlessly and figure out how to get something shipped. That's helpful mindset.
I think also, I mean, I hope this goes without saying, but you'd want to vet any possible software development shops or individuals, whoever you decide to work with. You want to make sure that they are the real deal, that they're going to deliver what they promise, that they know, the most up-to-date different code bases that they should be working out. What are the integrations? You want to make sure you have a good chemistry check with them, that you talk to their past customers. There are a lot of things to consider, and there are a lot of options. So just want to make sure that you're hiring someone who can partner with you and isn't not just going to execute your vision. You want someone who's an expert, who can bring with them that, people don't really do those menus anymore, or, oh, have you thought about it this way? You want someone who's going to challenge you a little bit and help you build the best possible design.
Yeah, I think along those lines, just to say that if keeping something small, find a way to engage. Like, we have had clients come to us after they've been working a year and a half with another team, and they're just, they just give it 6 months and then see how it goes. I think it'd be really important to just try to set some intermediate milestones so that you and your partner can feel good about the way things are going and make sure that you're working a way that makes sense. So hiring a partner, not just a coder, giving you that kind of a feedback, and also, helping make those decisions about, let's get excited about shipping something as opposed to just more billable time and more meetings. Let's get something people want to use.
And also, it's important to consider time zone barriers, language barriers. You want to make sure you're communicating with someone who's available, who knows what you're talking about, who has a great sensibility. Like, these are things that are important as well. And again, like, I think I just put this a lot of times because it's so important to ship, even if things aren't perfect. Just get your product out there, get information, see what's working, see what isn't. Ship. We have a little bit of time left. Zach, I would love for you to run through some of these real world examples of companies that we've helped, who are service-based companies, and how we've helped them develop their own software. And then also, now's a great time, if you have a question or you were hoping we were going to talk about something, we didn't get to it. Start typing that out also in the Q&A, because I want to make sure we have time for that as well. So thank you.
That's great. Yeah, I would just mention a couple of examples, hopefully to kind of spur your thinking again, as you're thinking about your business and what your goals are and where you might be able to employ software to help you grow to the next level. These are a few examples from clients that we've worked with who we've really seen an impact in their business. So this particular one, railroad safety training software, is a niche that I certainly was not familiar with, but our client was someone who had been really instrumental in drafting some of the legislation around railroad safety compliance and on-the-job training. And she happened to know that the regulations were going to be changing based on this legislation that was passing, and every railroad was going to have a certain level of certification of the training that they had offered. And she saw an opportunity to move beyond a consulting relationship where she already had a strong business and the relationships with the railroads to be the vendor of choice for the software itself. And she outpaced the actual enterprise railroad internal software development teams themselves because she was able to move quickly and ship product and get stuff done. And they decided we'd rather just continue to partner with her and buy her software than build our own. It's expensive and slow to build our own. So she transformed her business and really tightened her relationships with her clients through that process. Another one is an attorney who was very just frustrated with the current case management software and legal document review process in terms of searching and notes within legal document review. Again, an area that I had no specific past experience in, but starting to understand what the pain points are. And again, we don't need to solve the wheel. Again, we don't need to reinvent everything. There's just certain aspects of collaborating with the team around this particular part of a process that he saw a better way, and now he's released that software to other attorneys to get the same benefits. Art appraisal software, again, a common theme among some of these softwares is just the level of effort that's required, in this case, to do art appraisals, where your expertise is in understanding what should something be valued, and most of your time ends up getting spent at taking pictures and formatting Word documents in order to create a good-looking appraisal. Our client here had a vision for a software platform where they do upload photos from the mobile phone, create appraisals, and then kind of start going from that baseline into more of a data and information play where you could pre-populate information about art and artists and start to understand broader trends in the appraisal landscape. So if you can get into a software space, you may well also have insights into broader industry trends for your market that can be really valuable for you as well, and then layer on the value of your software. And the fourth one here is digital marketing. Share of voice was an automation of a complex process that was using web scraping and Google search submissions to try to identify opportunity for digital marketing for companies' websites. And so we turned fragile, brittle, multi-day, multi-step, intensive Excel spreadsheet automation process that only one person could do into a platform that became a really useful sales tool and a point of insight for potential clients for this digital marketing agency. So those are just a few of the examples that we've got from clients that we've worked with. As Elyse mentioned, everything from healthcare to lawn care. But really, we just love hearing what opportunities entrepreneurs see in the space that they have expertise in, and how can a smart application of technology give them some time back, help them earn some more money, and have a different level of scale in their business.
Awesome. Any questions? I'm taking a look at the Q&A and none have come in, but I will leave that up for another minute or two if anyone wants to chime in with a specific question, whether it's about your own company or maybe a client of yours, or anything else that you might want. And we're here for you. And again, if maybe something comes up after this webinar, feel free to email me. My email is elyse.ash@cloudburststudio.com, or you can just visit cloudburststudio.com to learn a little bit more about us. Thank you so much for joining us on this webinar. We are really excited about all the opportunities we see in this space. Like Zach said, even a few years ago, it was not common for everyone to have their own website. And we really do see the future being all companies owning their own custom software and being able to customize things to a really exciting level where systems and processes can just work so much more efficiently for you. So we are excited about that and about helping all different types of service-based companies really pursue that vision in the future. Anything else, Zach?
No, I think it's been great to have the opportunity to share this with folks. I think if anything, hopefully it will encourage you to think differently about your business and what the opportunities are with technology and software development. And if nothing else, get started. Think about ways that you could apply technology that would help your business grow, and to just be open-minded to that it might not be as big of a deal as you think. Certainly software ownership is a long-term game. It's complicated, but it's also an exciting way to grow yourself as an entrepreneur and to grow your business to the next level, for your own benefit as well as your team and your clients. So really appreciate folks taking the time to join in for the session today. As Elyse mentioned, we're available by email for follow-up, and that's been awesome.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.